Welcome back guys, this is Shrikant. Today we are going to talk about very important concept which is called as the correlated subquery. You might be confused with the subquery and the correlated subquery. Let me give you the clear explanation in this video so your doubts should be clear. As I said in my last video, let me recap what we did in that one. So we created two tables. We called it as a student and we called it as a department. And when I query the data in the department table, I got that there are how many department? There we have three, not two, actually three department, right? We have three department and we have two student. Okay. Now this is very important to know in a correlated subquery the difference between the correlated subquery and the subquery. Let me try to tell you. So subquery is a query which is inside the query, right? Subquery is a query. So this is a subquery, this is a query, and which is inside the main query, and this is the main query. So I can say a query inside the main query is called as a subquery, and there is no relationship between main query and the subquery. You can write any kind of query inside a main query, provided it should follow the SQL rules, right? So the subquery is a query which doesn't have any relation with a main query. That is what we call as a subquery. But when we want to make some relationship with a main query with a subquery, right? So if I want to say I want to make a relationship between subquery and the main query, then that concept is called as the correlated subquery. What does that mean? Let me give you the practical demonstration, then you can clearly understand what I'm trying to say. To understand the practical thing, we need to have a requirement is I want to show, or I want to know how many students are there in my department, or you can say for each department I want to find out the in count of student, right? Okay, so to get all the information of the department I need to use a table, right? And what table should be? It should be depth table, right? Let me run the query. So I can see here three rows, right? Correct. So my requirement is I want to know how many students are there in my department, or you can say in each department how many students are there. Okay, now if I'm writing query, so I know one thing, that the student information is present. Where it is present? It is present in the student table, right? Okay, now if I want to find out the count, then what should I do? I can do the count. And now let's run the query. What we will get? See, we will get the column, right? And the data would be like 3222. What does that mean? It means that the count of star from the student table in all the student from the college or the school. But I want to know for each department how many students are there. So how do you write like that? So to understand that, let's say I'm giving as Elias as A, and this student Elias as B, right? So here I'm going to write a where condition. As I said, correlated query is a kind of subquery which has a relation with a main query. So here I am having a B dot date. This is the column which is present in the student table. Now I am going to make a relationship with the main table. So my main table is basically the date table, right? So A dot depth ID or A dot ID. ID is the column here. So if I write query like this and simply run it without explaining to you, let's see how many record I get. See, the value has been changed. Previously I was seeing here 2, 2, 2, right? Now I am seeing for the IT I'm getting basically one value. For XTC I'm getting two value. For CS I'm getting zero value. Why? Because why the query output has changed? Because we are using a subquery, but that is a correlated subquery. Okay, let me revalidate my statement. So correlated subquery is a kind of a subquery which is depend on a main query, right? So my main table is depth table, so you can have any kind of query here. So depth is basically passing the value to inside the query, and this query basically dependent on the main table. That's why it's a correlated. If the value has been changed for this one, for the main table, the value would be changed for the child table also, right? So what actually how this is happening, I am passing id equal to 1 to the first department, so I will get all the count of student from that department, right? This is the one. Then when the id is equal to 2, I would get 2, and for cs we don't have any student, that's why we are getting 0 count. Let me show you the raw data once again. Let's reconfirm the data, reconfirm the query. See, I have only two students, right? ABC and XYZ, and I have three departments. That's why, and I can clearly see for the CES there is a no student, right? So if I am running this query, I can see the three record, but the student should it should show student equal to two, right? One and one, two, correct. For CS we don't have. So I think this is clear, right? Correlated subquery is a kind of subquery which is basically depend on the main query, and it's a plain subquery means the query is a child query but which is not depend on main query. That is the difference. If the query is having the dependency between the main query and the child query, then we can say it's a correlated, otherwise it's a normal subquery. Hope you understood the difference between the correlated subquery and the subquery, and thanks for watching. Have a great day ahead.